Thank you, Mr. Chairman and members of the committee. On behalf of NCART and of my company, Chesapeake Rehab Equipment, I appreciate the opportunity to be here today. As Chesapeake Rehab, we participated in competitive bidding in 2 of the CBAs. I can say I lived to tell about it, but I'm not sure I'm happy about it. Just to understand a little bit about complex rehab technology, you have to understand a little bit about these businesses. Complex rehab technology companies, more than 50% of the providers in this sector are small businesses with revenues of between $3 and $5 million annually. Most are privately owned, which are generally well entrenched in their communities and have established relationships with their customers and allied health professionals. Complex rehab and assistive technologies are adaptive seating, positioning, mobility devices that are evaluated, fitted, configured, adapted, and modified based on unique clinical and functional needs of the people with severe disabilities. These disabilities could include things as ALS, spina bifida, cerebral palsy, muscular dystrophy. In fact, there is a young woman in the room today, Selene Dalton Cummings, who is a customer of mine. She is in a piece of complex rehab technology, and it helps her get to work every day and be a very productive individual in the community. And just a little bit more, what differentiates complex rehab technology companies from other home medical equipment providers is the level of products that we supply and the level of staff required to provide them and the amount of time and labor that's involved in that process. Companies that adhere to long-standing service delivery model that provides the best clinical outcome for consumers or complex rehab are required to employ certified staff and to run their operations in a certain way. All this comes with a very high cost. In a study performed by a DC-based economics firm for NCART, companies operating in this field experience a net operating income of 1.6%. That's a very thin line. This is based on non-product costs in the 50.5% range and product costs of 47.9% for these companies. With such high non-product expenses and such minimal net operating income, complex rehab technology companies are already unstable. Coupled with cash flow challenges of dealing with third-party payers, and then add the increase of things like fuel and payroll costs increasing the way they are, these companies are even more challenged to remain viable. It is important to note that suppliers and manufacturers of complex rehab technologies have already absorbed significant cuts in reimbursement resulting from coding changes and congressionally mandated reimbursement cuts. Moreover, the CPI increase for Medicare fee schedule for existing HCPCS codes has been frozen for almost a decade, while costs associated with the provision of this technology has increased. The DME industry is generally has only received one permanent Medicare fee schedule increase since 1998. Round 1 of competitive bidding continues to move forward in spite of many inequities and controversies. The areas of concern range from both the resulting prices and their calculations to the actual winning bidders and how they were selected. CMS continues to claim that it has addressed many of the concerns appropriately, but the fact still remains that many small businesses have already been injured by this program. When you look at competitive bidding in the complex rehab area, CMS has claimed to realize a 15% savings in that area. If you use the math that I've given you already as far as where rehab companies are, with a 1.6 net operating margin, you take 15% out of what tends to be about 30% of their business, they're below water. There was also the issue that there are companies that are doing business in competitive bidding areas who are not historically operating in those areas. In Pittsburgh, for example, where I was not able to win a bid, 2 of the 4 companies that were offered the bid either have not operated in that business or in that CBA or in that business as far as complex rehab. Additionally, CMS claims there are accreditation standards in place. One of the winning bidders in many of these CBAs was able to get in under a loophole that they were accredited under standards that were not in place by the time that competitive bidding was put in place. For instance, now in order to be a complex rehab provider, you have to have certain certified individuals, you have to operate a certain way, and the accrediting bodies have rehab standards. Those weren't in place, and these companies are able to get through based on a loophole. In conclusion, I just would hope that Congress would embrace H.R. 2231, which would allow for the exemption of complex rehab technology from competitive bidding, and would allow that Medicare beneficiaries with disabilities would be protected from this problem. Thank you.